There was a team we played with Wexford 2 years ago. We played them twice with the same referee. I think the free count was 19-6 between the two games.
Right. See, that could be you having rubbed that referee up the wrong way before. Do you ever think about that?
It quite possibly did, because it was the same referee that refereed the college game that we lost by a point that no way should we have lost it. And it could be that I got on to him and he said, I'll sort it. He actually told our number 11 in the college game, your manager doesn't help you, he said. You better get up.
I'm not finished yet. It took me a long time to get here.
Both players have spoken with each other.
So we have Davy Fitzgerald, Brian on the show today, so we're very excited about that. I went down to Chadwick's Wexford Park yesterday, so that's where he was at. It was a launch day for Chadwick's. The home of Wexford GAA has been renamed Chadwick's Wexford Park. So, geez,
is it Chadwick's? Is that what you said?
So I have to say, I'd never met Davy. Like this was a bit of a shock to me, meeting Davy Fitzgerald in an environment that wasn't a match day Davy Fitzgerald. So we know Davy Fitzgerald for Davy on the television from matches, his post-match interviews, his pre-match interviews, which can be also good, his sideline carry on. I'd never met Davy just in a relaxed setting, and I was very surprised at the person I met. He was nothing like game day Davy.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. He's totally different. Like, obviously I played against Davy, and when I was starting out, and I had huge admiration for him, but he was stone nuts when you were hurling against him. And and then when he was manager, and if you were a player in the opposition, he's liable to do anything to win, and look, we've seen that so many times and time again. But as you said, I met him once. Actually, it's a good one. He was up with 6 Mile Bridge minors, and he would have been inter-county manager for Clare at the time. So he was up in our club field playing a practice match against our Coolary minors. And look, they were way ahead of him. It was a dirty, wet evening, spilling rain. Davy's there, has him playing, a lovely brand of hurling, using the ball, but way too tactical for our boys. We were way too agricultural on the evening. But I went down to say hello to him after, and we must have spent half an hour chatting, just nice leisurely chat, shooting the breeze, and real nice guy actually off the field when you put aside all that, that real mental mad, will to win.
Yeah, and I was talking to him because me and Davy we had fallen out, and I was saying that on the show before about the Brian O'Halloran and the Young O'Connell thing back then, and to be fair to Davy, he kind of gave me his side of things, and we were laughing about it. I had to float with the PR company, make sure now to tell Davy I'm coming down, so I didn't want to get fucked out of it by him when I went down.
Yeah.
Because I saw Davy at matches and I wouldn't go anywhere near him. I'd be terrified because he could ball you out of it, and you don't want to be the centre of something like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that. He's the star of the show, and you just don't want to be getting involved or anything. But I just stayed away from him, so I floated it anyways, and he was happy to do it. And then he was grand. There wasn't a bother on him. So that's coming up in part 2. 27 minutes. I wasn't expecting 27 minutes. I was expecting about 15 minutes. So he's coming up in part 2. Willie Barrett has been talking, Brian, this week. He's obviously the head of the National Referees Committee, and he's been discussing the matches, obviously the Saturday night match and the Sunday match. One was as bad as the other. And he said, I don't think you can look at the match and say none of them were frees. By the letter of the law, they were frees. The other side of the coin is, do they ignore frees? Now, I was saying here on Monday, some of them weren't frees. Some of the players were so surprised they were getting frees that there was no way they were frees. Galan won in the second half where he was just being tightly marked. Harnedy won. There was a whole load of them. Declan Dalton got one. You could list them out. I did on Monday. But when he says by the letter of the law they were frees, that's disappointing to the head of the National Referees Committee. Is trying to argue that some of these were frees.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those situations where he's going to back his referees no matter what. And if he's not seen publicly to do that, well, then I suppose it's a lost cause as a referee completely. So I think he's not going to go into them each individually, or we're going to run into serious trouble if they have to defend absolutely everything. But at the same time, look, if he doesn't defend them, who is going to?
Has to defend them, yeah. But he could reassure hurling fans, and hurling fans in general, that, okay, this is not, we don't, it's not a direction. We don't want the games over refed. He didn't really do it. I don't think that would be throwing the referees under the bus. He's saying that by the letter of the law they were frees. They weren't.
No, they weren't. They certainly weren't. And look, I know all hurling people, we go mad when there's too many frees, and obviously case in point this weekend. But we just want to see a free flowing game and a bit of manliness into our hurling. And not just that stop-start nature, because it's not a pretty spectacle, and you've said it yourself. You struggle to watch it. Anyone struggles to watch it when it's just that stop-start nature, and hurling people don't want it. And as you said very, very clearly, there was a number of occasions where there was no free, and it's just mind-boggling. You know?
See the way I said hurling fans and not hurling people, so I could include myself into the into the conversation. He made a point about the advantage. He said we felt the advantage wasn't working out, the advantage rule, so maybe that's the reason for the extra free. So he's trying to argue that in situations where referees have not blown the free. Now this is a separate thing to the frees not being frees. He's saying, say if you give away a free and it is genuinely a free, not frees we're talking about that aren't frees, but a genuine free. He's saying that referees now, instead of letting the advantage go, are actually blowing the free because teams are not getting enough advantage out of the advantage. And sure, then what's the point in having an advantage rule? Like, I mean, that doesn't really make sense either.
Now that is a crazy statement, because I started to question myself when I read that, saying, I have to taken out the advantage rule now. That was my reading of that. I was like, have I missed something here? And to the best of my knowledge, the advantage rule is still there. And I think the advantage rule works really well. And I think, hurling and football, I think we particularly like it. It's a really good rule. And most players, let's be honest, you were there as well, Willie, you want to try and get your score from play. You don't want to hand over.
No.
That's what you do. You want to score from play. You don't want to hand it over. Even as a free taker, I'd still rather get that ball and tap it over the bar myself than have to put it down and put it over. So I think the advantage rule was a great rule, and I would hate if they were going down the road of trying to limit that.
But my point on this is the advantage one. What business is it of a referee's if the advantage doesn't work out? That's none of his business. He applies the rules, and if the advantage doesn't work out, that's for somebody else to worry about. It's not for the referee on the day. The referee on the day has to allow the advantage. Our players will tear their hair out and say, they'll be even more confused about what's going on.
Yeah, one thing for me, so I think that has caused a huge confusion. So are you going to allow advantage or not? Starters? So they should be, because that rule is in. And I think where we really need clarity though is some referees kind of allow the advantage, and if you get your shot off, that's seen as, well, and even if you miss it, your chance is gone. Whereas other referees referee it that if you take your shot and it goes wide, it's back for a free. I think I'd like to see a little bit more consistency in that approach, be it whichever way it is, and just settle on it. So that's it's not varying from referee to referee. I
saw Michael Murphy in the Dublin game. Sorry now, hurling people, for bringing up a football example, but it's relevant here. Michael Murphy got a free against Dublin the other night, and the referee put his hand up for advantage. Michael Murphy pretty much just stopped playing. He took the free. He wanted the free himself. So it's the player decides that. So say if Patrick Horgan gets fouled and he thinks a free is a better opportunity than what currently is there, and he's a better judge of it than the referee. Why didn't he just fall to the ground and drop the ball or something? You know what I mean? And make sure he gets his free rather than continue on. If the player wants to continue on, the referee has to allow him. Blowing it up. The player might see a goal on that the referee has no idea that this could be on.
Exactly, and you don't know until you take your 3 or 4 steps when things open up in those situations. So I think you're right. I think a player has the best judgment in that situation. The advantage rule is there. I think that is baffling that he came out with that particular statement at the weekend. After the weekend.
Definitely. Well, Limerick are gone on a training camp. So unusual to go on the training camp mid-league. No disrespect to Westmeath. They're playing them at home next week. That's probably fed into it, Brian. In fairness, they probably looked at what week they can get away, because we know April now, you need special permission from the CCCC to go in April because it has to be for clubs. So counties are looking for a gap in the league now to maybe get a week away.
Yeah, I suppose in essence it is disrespectful to Westmeath in a way, because they looked at it and said, look, hey, this is cannon fodder here. This is a huge issue, I suppose, with the league in particular as well, and you've been banging about this for a while. And they said, look, this is the week we can go. You know, we can actually go. We can't go during Easter. That would have been when a lot of trips would have happened, because you said that's the club month now. So this opportunity, they said, right, we'll do that. I actually feel sorry for maybe the players that are going to play on Sunday, because they'll probably try out a good few players against Westmeath as well, and then they'll probably get their only opportunity, or one of few opportunities to try and perform after doing a week's training and a flight home and everything. So it'll be tough to perform for those players on Sunday. They'll be under a bit of pressure too.
Yeah, they're home on Saturday. They're home on Saturday at 2:00. But sure, Limerick are making 8 changes per game, one way or another, anyway. So
that's true too.
What is their big? Yeah, you know, they're mixing it around. Like,
sorry to come across. The big thing for me is probably the onus back on players now to get that week off. You know, like guys working inter-county level, you know, you have to take a good few days off between different things, between, you know, matches and training camps, and, you know, a full week off then on top of that. If you're self-employed, that's really, really difficult. You're not getting any money returned from that perspective. You know, employers have to be pretty okay with you. If you're in school and teachers, and we all obviously know there's a lot of teachers involved in hurling at the moment, you know, you need a very understanding principal that will actually let you off for the week.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've great holidays, but we've set holidays, you know, so without taking another week off, and we're only back off midterm then as well.
You're only back off time. Why would they not have gone that week? That was leading up to the Cork game, so maybe they didn't want to go.
See, that's exactly it, you know. Now, John Kiley's a principal himself, so I'm sure he was able to give himself a bit of time off.
So there's no hassle with him. Yeah, it is interesting. But do you know what? I'd love to be a fly on the wall and watch what Connacht does with them when he has a full week, you know, to get his hands on him and do the bit of tactical work, you know, that he likes to do, and a few probably walkthroughs, a good few team meetings about, you know, the players telling him what they think and getting feedback, and by the end of the week having it absolutely perfect.
Yeah, perfect. And I think, you know, you see, we had this debate a couple of weeks ago about the merit of training camps. I think the way the game has gone and how much it has progressed over the years, like, I think it's massive if we can get away for those 2 days. You know, when I went on them a couple of years ago, yeah, we trained hard, but there probably wasn't as much thought in terms of tactical awareness and all that side of things. And, you know, invariably it always ended up in a good few pints as well.
Yeah, no, well, that's it. I think the walkthroughs are very important, and like the feedback on the field, and then try, you know, say he has Mulcahy, Gallan and Flanagan in there, and he's the rest of the team outside, and he's there, right, well, you know, he's Diarmaid Burns, and you have whoever, Dan Morrissey, and these are the balls we want now. Gerard Hegarty, I want you joining in now, and want you getting back, you know, walking through stuff, you know, without any opposition until you get it, until players pretty much have it perfectly in their head, and then filtering in some opposition on it. You know, we've been through these kind of things and talking about it. There's clearly a value to getting away like that tactically for the week.
Massive. And look, I think they already have this down to a T. It's just obviously refining it time and time again until they just become unstoppable, because I tell you, the way they're going at the moment, they certainly look that way. Oh,
I think they're going to win the All-Ireland. Davy thinks it too. You'll hear that no, he doesn't think they're going to win the All-Ireland. He thinks there might be a slight step ahead of everybody else. Come here, what do you make of Laois giving up their home advantage against Kilkenny? Now, my idea on this is that if a Moore Park is a swamp, I would pump more water in on top of it with Kilkenny coming down to a Moore Park. What's Eddie Brennan thinking here, Brian? Explain to me why we would go to Nolan Park. Now, is he playing silly beggars with us playing Kilkenny later on in the championship? Is he going to put out a dummy team? I don't know. I would turn a Moore Park I'd have a mud wrestling match with them rather than a hurling match.
I honestly think Eddie's hands are tied in this. I'd say the county board have just called a halt to all the matches there.
Right.
And he doesn't have enough, say, pull within the county to say, actually, hold on, no, we're holding on to our home advantage. And maybe personally he sees no merit in playing in O'Moore Park. Now, I've seen the highlights of the Laois Carlow game at the weekend. It looked in terrible state. I got a better view, actually. Again, we'll quote him, the Buff Egan. He went down to the side of the field and videoed the state of right in front of, you know, the stand and all the sand that's there. Like, it was in dire straits. And I think did they have 4 games on it last week, which like is crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. And Moore Park's usually in great condition. Like Eddie, in fairness, Eddie didn't blame any groundsmen. It's just terrible weather. But I went into like Laois often played home league games in Rathdowney's pitch.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Eddie is happy enough to actually just go there, go to Nolan Park.
Maybe it's to give Laois a taste of it, you know. Like, I mean,
yeah, you see, and you can get, you see, that's, we've talked about this before. I know it's only down the road and all that, but you can. You know, it's a trial run for your championship game, I suppose, essentially, and, you know, getting all your, you know, your itinerary exact and where you're going to warm up and all those sort of things, and getting used, because I suppose, you know, Laois haven't played too often in Nolan Park over the last couple of years either, so getting used to that, and it's a tough place to go and play, as I know.
No, well, I understand that. Obviously, it's experience he's trying to give them in Nolan Park, that makes sense to me now. I'm only joking, obviously, of pumping in Moore Park with more water. Well, maybe half. That'd be a cheddar Plunkett. That would be a cheddar Plunkett trick rather than my trick. Just talking about Kilkenny before we get into Davy. Terrible news that Adrian Mullen is gone with a cruciate, and that's on the back of Richie English, which we talked about on Monday's show. He's gone as well. Dreadful stuff. And I was commenting with JJ on Monday, Brian, that I didn't think it was that serious with Adrian, because he actually smiled at someone on the stretcher on the way off there. We saw it on League Sunday last week. But obviously, you know, when you're in that kind of pain, maybe you don't know what you're not really sure how to react.
Yeah, and everyone seems, you know, thank God I've never had a cruciate, but like, you have seen players walk off the field. You know, they know they can't play on, but they have walked off or limped off. So, you know, I suppose you can never go by an initial reaction, but the physios, good chartered physios, know straight away. They have a test that they can do.
Yeah, they pull the calf. They pull the calf
exactly.
forward, yeah.
And they know instantly that a cruciate is gone, you know. They probably don't break it from on the field, but you know, it's gut wrenching, you know, and it's hard, you know. But Adrian Mullen, look, what a hurler, obviously, but what a load, you know, he has had over the last couple of years. You know, going from Kieran's straight into his Ballyhale tenure over the last couple of years, you know, back-to-back All-Irelands, Kilkenny under-21s, Kilkenny seniors. And then, you know, it's just never ended. And then trying to play a bit of Fitzgibbon in on top of that as well, you know, because he did come back and play for DCU and he came on for them there in that semi-final. So, like, it's just a huge, you know, workload.
And he was playing under 20 in the lead up to last year's Leinster final and all, wasn't he? Remember?
Yeah. That's right, yeah, he did, yeah. Now, he actually missed out in the Leinster final, but he did play in the All-Ireland semi-final. So, you know, like, you have that on top of it. And, look, I remember going back, and as much as you enjoy hurling when you're young, when you do have that huge amount of games, it is tough. It is hard to play on every single team. And the problem is, and obviously it's the same for all top in-countries, you have to play well every day you go out.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely disappointing for him and for Kilkenny too, because you know, his first year was impressive. Imagine what he was going to be like in his second year when he has that kind of experience now and maybe take on more responsibility and things like that. So everyone's a loser with this, but we'll wish Adrian best of luck. Right, we'll come back and we'll talk to Davy Fitzgerald. Davy, how's it going? I finally tracked you down.
Yeah, after a few years, we've got to meet up and have a chat, yeah. Listen, things are okay. When you're winning a few games, it makes life a bit easier. So
good, yeah. Well, you are. You're on top of the world. And that's why I was interested. Like a brilliant comeback win against Dublin when it looked like you were completely out of the game, and you did that kind of in Parnell Park against them last year. The camera went on to you at the final whistle, and you didn't look like a man who'd won the game. I don't know if you saw it or not, but you were fairly annoyed about something.
Yeah, so obviously, listen. Firstly, to get the win playing average enough that's a good thing.
Yeah.
When you're winning, and myself and the lads know there was a lot of things we didn't do the way we should have. But in fairness, that might be down to Dublin as well. They had their homework well done, and fair play to them. But we're definitely going to have to be better in the championship. Delighted with resilience. When you get a result that you shouldn't get, it's great.
Like, that's what good teams do, isn't it? That's what the top teams do.
Well, that's something that we're learning now. When I think, like against Kilkenny, playing against the Storm, we were a point down with about 17 minutes to go, and we got a result.
Yeah,
and
that was another big one. Yeah.
Well, it was the composure which we played at the end of the game, and we weren't afraid to go back with the ball and knock the ball around and hold possession of it. And that's not kind of the done thing. Like, but I was delighted when you're playing against that sort of a breeze. You can't just be hitting away at the ball. You have to hold, and I didn't need to tell them. They managed it out themselves, and it was great. So them 2 or 3 little things are a help. And the reason I was probably not overjoyed after the game was I was just frustrated. That was it. Like, I love hurling. I love going to see games. And if I was a paying customer going in to see Dublin and Wexford, I would have been like, you wouldn't be happy. You couldn't be happy. You have 50 frees in a game, and whether I'd won or lost, I would have been the same way, 110%, because I just love seeing 2 teams go at it and being let go at it, you know?
Yeah, and so like, I mean, I didn't see your game, I just saw highlights, but I saw the Limerick Cork game the next day, and that was dreadful stuff altogether. And I was asking on the lads on the podcast, is that just unlucky that they're 2 of the weaker referees? That, you know, this isn't necessarily a problem within the game with refereeing, or is this just you have to watch out, and you know, different referees, you know, one could blow for everything and another might not?
Like, I look at Sean Clear, who refereed the Cork and Limerick game. I actually think he's a decent referee, but I feel that maybe he's taken the letter of the law where maybe they're being told you have to blow for every single free. I think the referee should be given a small bit more initiative to just say, listen, keep it as balanced as you can, blow for the stuff that's really bad that you need to blow for, let our game flow. Yeah. That would be my
But
view.
The problem is that if they're being told that, why are they being told that?
I don't know. I don't know, like, because I don't believe there's any bad guys over it, like the Willie Barris, the Donald Smith, these guys. I believe the heart is good and in the right place. They might get 1 or 2 things into their head, the same as we would as managers. We might get 1 or 2 things into our head, but maybe the referees then are taking it to the letter of the law, and like, I don't think you can. Like, honestly, there was 14 versus 13 at the end of our game. I didn't see any major bad. Like, you punish someone if they do damage to someone, to hurt someone, 100% deal with it.
Yeah.
But man, I honestly didn't see any bad fouls that are there from our side or from the Dublin side. There wasn't. There might have been a bit of holding at times or X, Y, and Z, but it wasn't. There wasn't deliberate actions to have 3 people sent off, in my view. Yeah.
How did you keep your composure then with watching a match like that? Because we know refereeing decisions are a potential weakness of yours.
Yeah, and I'll admit that. Like, I look at things, and if I'm not happy with it, you'll know I'm not happy with it, right? I found it extremely hard the other night, and I know if I was in the stand and if I was watching it, right, I'd be the exact same, because like, a lot of my thing, Colm, is I love going to games and watching games, but I want to learn. Number one, I'm the type of person that wants to go and see how a Galway, how a Kilkenny, or is Tipp doing something different? Can I learn something? And in order to learn something, the game has to flow. Yeah. And I love that, and I love our hurling for the last few years. To me, it's gone to another place, and I suppose everything evolves every number of years, but I love trying to learn and watch, and I would just be frustrated as a hurling person, even outside of a manager, with stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Come here, I meant to ask you about referees, because there's 2 theories about giving referees grief, right? One is that if you give them a bit of grief over decision, it'll get into their head and they'll go, okay, I have to even this up. Another theory is if you give them too much grief, they'll turn completely against you and you won't get anything off them.
Yeah.
You're obviously on the first, you're the first.
I will be, it depends, right? It depends. If you feel strongly about something, and if you feel you have a case, where do you go to? Like, to me, there should be an avenue where, like, there is things that are wrong. There is cases, and I'll tell you this, the last few years, where when I look back at the video, I knew I was wrong. And that was, even my time at Clare, I can remember I was wrong about something James Owens did in a Kilkenny versus Clare game. We lost it by a point, and I thought it was a terrible decision, and I gave it to him after the game. No, he didn't do anything. He probably knew I was a bit of rat. But I went away and I watched it, and I met him afterwards a few weeks later, and I apologised. I said, 100% I was wrong. You were right. And stuff like that, I don't mind when I look at it back, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. But then there's times where I know there was stuff and it wasn't dealt with. And what I hate is being dismissed. I hate being dismissed.
By a referee?
Like, I hate just, that's only Davy on again, get rid of him.
That would make you worse.
That, absolutely. That's a total lack of respect towards us. And if I was to go to referees, that's only so-and-so, like, you're nothing. Like, they make you feel unreal. I can remember a particular referee, right, in the championship one year when I was at Clare, waited at the edge of the tunnel for me, right? I had said nothing to him, but he wanted to be seen to dress me down in front of the whole crowd, right?
Right.
And he sent in the linesman, come out here, I want to talk to you. I said, no, up. You want to talk to me, come in here. I said, we'll talk, no problem. And I was cool as a breeze, but I wasn't going out.
Right.
Because he wanted to make a point in front of 30,000 that he was dealing with me.
Right.
I thought that was so unfair.
You're talking about at half time you'll wait for them. During the game, obviously, they're not going to explain to you what a free is for.
No, but I wouldn't mind just getting an opportunity to ask the questions. And I think our chairman will tell you, right? Yeah, it might be nice, but I guarantee you I'll be calm enough to ask the question, just can you tell me why this is or what the story is of this? Because one or two decisions decide a game, like it's done and dusted. There was a team we played with Wexford 2 years ago. We played them twice with the same referee. I think the free count was 19-6 between the two games.
Right. See, that could be you having rubbed that referee up the wrong way before. Do you ever think about that?
It quite possibly did, because it was the same referee that refereed the college game we lost by a point that no way should we have lost it. And it could be that I got on to him and he said, I'll sort it. He actually told our number 11 in the college game, your manager doesn't help you, he said, you better get up.
Right. You need to bring all the referees out for dinner or something.
Oh, man. No, I would have a really good relationship with X amount of them. There's some of them you can actually ring and ask them a question afterwards. I admire that. Like, I'll give you a good example. Like, Dermot Kerwin from Cork, one of the best referees, I thought. I could ring him and ask him, Dermot, why was that? And he'd give you his side of it. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I wouldn't. But you know what? It was nice that you were actually able to ask the question. And probably tell you even my relationship with him afterwards when he refereeing games, some decisions good, some bad.
You'd be calmer, yeah.
I was, because I felt that he had enough of respect to talk to you, explain his side of it, because there is two sides to everything. Like, I'm not going to be right, as much as I'd like to think I am. I'm not going to be right all the time. Of course, I want to know what they're seeing. Yeah. And they might have seen it completely different to what I seen, you know. So
it depends on the personalities of the referees. Some don't lend themselves to you being calm with them, maybe, and that's kind of, come here. I want to ask you about the sweepers, because I suppose ever since the Tipperary game, the jury has come back and sweepers are okay now. Have you noticed that the kind of analysis around sweepers has changed now since that game?
Yeah,
it's not that you're not the big bad wolf now anymore.
I was getting hounded for that. Like, I actually don't know if sweeper's the right word, right? I actually don't know if it is the right word. Without giving away too much, because I don't want to really be telling everyone else how we work with it. All I'm saying to you is, and the only thing I'll say to you is, it might not be 7 backs for as long as you think.
Yeah,
that's all. It isn't maybe the way you think it is.
But has that evolved over your time, Wexford? Because Sean Murphy played a different sweeper role now than Kevin Foley does.
It's evolving all the time, right? 100% it is. And like, I'm in the game a long time, and 100% I don't know it all. I'm trying to figure out as we're going along, what can you do different? Because I believe that everything changes all the time and you have to come up with new stuff. If I went to, say, for example, take on the Kilkenny side that were so dominant from 2005 upwards, right? The last thing you should be doing with them is taking them on at what they're good at.
Yeah.
Like, you have to find different ways. The same in Cork when they were a bit dominant a few years before that. And I just love trying to look at different things. All I'd say to you on the sweeper is, I don't think it's what people might have thought it was, that it's 7 defenders all the time and we're just defending like anything. Like, I seen other teams back a number of years ago and they were bringing 8, 9, 10 fellas back and people thought it was 15 and 15. It wasn't 15 and 15. There was wing forwards coming back and being defenders, and they were working so hard back there.
It wasn't as obvious. Maybe, it was easy to say it's 15 on 15 when it was,
No, well, if you really look back at it, because I love studying it and just looking back at it, and I'm not saying there was anything wrong with what they did. It got the results for them and they achieved what they needed to achieve, fair play to them. But if you look inside, I was doing analysis on one particular team, and I can remember looking at 12 guys inside their 65, and no one was saying a word to them. Like,
and the centre-back covering the full-back line.
Oh, he's going back, right? You have their wing-backs rushing back to help their full-back line, right? You have the wing-forwards coming back to cover the wing-forwards that were staying out for the handy ball. Like, there's a lot of bodies coming back in, and I don't see anything. That's grand. It worked, but there wasn't a word said about it,
No, I think that's it. And maybe the traditional counties get a break on that a little bit as well. Do you watch Gaelic football, Davy? Because I see a lot of your tactics in hurling kind of, I don't know, did Gaelic football tactics influence them a bit? Like, like half-backs going without the ball, and now we've attacking full-back lines, which we have in Gaelic football. Different things like that, like interchangeable half-back and half-forward lines.
I watch everything, right? But I'll be honest with you, no, like a lot of my stuff, what's in my head is, at the moment, is I want to be able to empower my players to make their own decisions, right? So in order for that to happen, you have to have choice. It's not get the ball and hit the ball, right? It's you run. If you want to give a short pass, give it. If you want to get it back, get it back. If you want to give a 20-yard dink ball, fine. If you want to give a crossfield ball, fine. If you want to go and shoot, fine. If you want to keep going up the field. And I think the lads will tell you, they make their own choices. Whatever they feel is in front of them, do it. Will it be right all the time? 100% no. But I want them to have choice. I believe hurling is an unbelievable game. When I was a young fellow out playing, I used to remember I might be Sean Stack at centre back, might be Jerry McInerney up front, or I was going out there and I was different fellas every day, and I loved kind of being able to go out and just hurl away. Yeah. And I feel the way we play at the moment allows players that freedom to say, okay, my job isn't just full back alone. When I'm a full back, I have to do my job. But if I get a chance and I'm in the ball, and if I want to keep going, and if he said, keep going, and someone else will just slot into his role in.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's interchangeable, and it's a little bit unorthodox, and maybe the traditional hurling counties aren't really ready for that, to be tracking men when they're not. It's unusual. It's
improved. The tracking of fellas has improved.
Yeah,
immensely.
I'm thinking of Bubbles and Sean Murphy now in the semi-final. He didn't want to be tracking at all, you know.
No,
there's certain forwards that are scorers, and it's not in their heads to have to work. And I suppose maybe identifying them. But I'm not going to give your secrets away, or maybe that's not.
No, different things. I just believe every player should be able to play in most positions. Don't limit yourself to being like a wing forward. Why not be able to do what a wing back does as well? If you have to arrive there for 10 minutes, why not be able to survive there for 10 minutes? I think it's opening up the game more, that you're learning more, and that, I can do this. If I'm here for a few minutes, I can do this. And I kind of excited by it. Like, I don't know if it'll work, but I kind of know the lads are enjoying it.
Yeah, and you have the young O'Connor fella in cornerback who plays midfield for his club, so that's another.
Well, in fairness to his club,
he went back full back.
He went back full back, right? And I remember watching the first game or two, he was iffy enough, but as it was going on, he grew into it big time. And you know what? I put him on cornerback and I can't get him off at the moment, because he's doing well. Yeah. And he's with me now. This is a fourth year. He's been on the panel since day one. This is the first time he's got a run of games. And I'm delighted for him, because he's stuck in there, and he's rarely got a game. Now, do you know what? That persistence, I love it. And he didn't give up, because it was easy. If you're not making the team, it's fucking easy to say, I'm going, I'm out of here, I'm not. He's stuck in there.
Yeah. But it must be a happy camp for him to stick in, for it to be in. Like, often I used to be the one that I would leave. My enjoyment was on the first 15, but like, we all know that you have director of music and you try to make it a very happy camp. It must be to keep lads going that aren't getting look in.
I don't know, would you keep everyone happy all the time? I don't think, with 35 or 6 guys and you can only play 15, it's very hard, but we try and make the point to them, our first 15 can't succeed if they're not being challenged massively. And the end goal for me, you like winning stuff, I love seeing people happy. My biggest thing out of GAA, right, is when you do something you're not meant to do. When you win games you're not meant to win. And when you look at people's emotions, man, you can't buy that. Yeah. All the medals you want in the world, you can't buy that. And that's what I say to these guys. Like, we have the Wexford support behind us at the moment, and they're great. It's unbelievable when they get behind us, and I want them lads to play in that. I want the 36 lads to, you're part of this. Would you prefer to be sitting at home and not be part of this, and you go and support it, or would you rather be in the thick of it and changing people's lives and seeing how that you're putting people in good form? I love that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Come here, I want to ask you about team talks before we finish up.
Yeah.
I was interested after the Leinster final, you said you didn't do a team talk that day, because there's loads of videos of you on YouTube. You are capable of giving a good up and at them team talk. Has it moved away from that?
So I won't say, so I'll put it to you, before, in the dressing room, maybe 10 seconds. That's it. Right. We have other things that we do, right? That we'll keep to ourselves, but there's other things we do that I feel is more beneficial to us performing on the field, right? We have certain things that I think is really good. I don't believe that anything you do on the day of a game will change the player too much. No. I believe that the week, 10 days before it is the window. So, team talks before you go out, I think. Like, I remember when I was playing, listen, being honest about it, It could have been Gerald Cannon. I fucking wasn't listening to a
Yeah.
word. Like, I was just tuned into what I feel I was going doing. So it's only the last year or two I've kind of said, you know, why am I talking for the sake of talking? No point. Get around, sees everyone okay, whatever the story is. We do our few things that we have. I believe you should go out in the field feeling good. Let's get ready to go.
Because what I always found, like, there could be a team talk in the warm-up, then there'd be another one in the dressing room, then there's another one when you get in a huddle on the field. And
We
it's all
have
repeating.
15 minutes, being honest, early out in the day, right? So 15 minutes, I might take 3 or 4 minutes, go over a few points. Then the backs coach and forwards coaches will get them for maybe 10, go over that. That's it.
Yeah.
The whole day, that's it. And all they're really doing is just, they might say one thing that might trigger, but is it really a massive part of our day? No, it could be killing time a small bit as well, right?
Yeah.
It's not really, tell you the truth.
I do definitely agree with your point that it's the week leading up to it. That's when lads start thinking about driving to work. You know what I mean? And you get really inside their heads rather than it's too late on match day. You're right.
All the stuff has to be done way out before it, way out. Like normally, the last night for a championship game, we will do something completely away from hurling. We actually, if I have my work done with the lads and my background staff having their work done before then, I think I'm wasting my time. I think, no, you're not at it. Because you're not going to change very much between Friday night and Sunday.
No.
You're not going to do it. If I haven't them boys ready, my background staff haven't them ready, gone.
Yeah,
Gone.
it's definitely changed from that because obviously managers banging on tables was the way to go, but that's not what to do in rugby anymore. You know, I don't think that's what Guardiola in soccer, for example, we see some of him in the dressing room. It's not that kind of banging on tables, old-fashioned.
I put it to you this way. I would be as good as having my plans. You could have every plan you want laid out for training, right, and for matches. But you know what? It's sometimes in my gut I don't feel things are right. You have to be able to go from the plan and just say, this isn't right. I get training, I could have training laid out with the lads, and if it's not working and I know we're not on it, we're stopping and we're going to change it. You can have all the best plans you want in the world. I really believe you've got to adapt to the situations that are there in front of you. See how your guys are. Like, I could count in one hand probably in the last 2 years how many times I've actually ate them, right, gone after them.
Right.
If I feel they're not giving 100%, that they're capable of way more and that they're holding back, I might go after them. But if I feel they're actually trying really hard and giving everything when it's not working for them, I won't. I could be wicked calm inside there and say, okay guys, I know you're trying, we got to try and figure out something else to make this happen. And I think I've evolved that way because you're right, 100% of those times I was completely the other way, and you go in roaring and shouting, doesn't probably make sense to do that.
Yeah. Is it hard at half time not to go in roaring and shouting out? Before the game, obviously nothing's happened, so it's easier to be calm. At half time,
it depends, Colin, right? If I feel that they're actually busting it out there and they're giving it, and things might be going right for them, I'm okay. What game was it? There was one of the games there, I can remember, we were struggling, but I knew that they were actually giving me everything. And we just had to maybe change the formation, we had to do a few things, wouldn't give out to them, just say, okay, we need to do this. And I think a thing that has helped me in the last year, 2 or 3, is that I've read that probably a lot better.
Right.
That I'm better at sizing up that situation. Don't get it right all the time, 100%, but I'd like to think I can read the situations a bit better.
Yeah, you said after that Leinster final as well, young people are different and maybe they don't respond back to, maybe that kind of thing.
The way we were managed would not happen now.
Yeah. I suppose that's just coming up from underage coaches and they're not allowed maybe shout at them, which is maybe a little bit too much in my opinion.
I think is there a mix in between some place that maybe needs to, there is a time that you might need to do it and it'll do them no harm. Sometimes I worry, are we wrapping them in cotton wool so much now it's unreal?
You see it in the Premier League, if a manager criticises their players, it's all, oh no, he's going to turn the dressing room against him. Like, you can't actually, you have to nearly mollycoddle them.
Yeah, well.
Thankfully that's not in the GAA yet.
No, I just feel that balance. If we can keep, if the players know that you're there for them, I think that's important. I like the players to want to be able to talk to you. And I can't say that was always the way with me, right? I would have tried. I think as a manager, you keep evolving and trying to be better. Am I perfect doing all that? 100% no. And I know I make mistakes. I know I do. But I'm enjoying what I do. And I want to see players. To me in life, the time you have is everything. Whatever else, the time you have is important. And I suppose it's only since I've got probably my heart thing that I realise a bit more, you know what, and I can get up and I can do stuff, it's not bad. I kind of want the players to realise there's only such a length of time I can play top class hurling. Let's make the best
Enjoy
of
it,
it.
yeah.
Let's make the best of it. Be the best we can be. And I think if you're that way, even as a person, it can improve you. It can help you going on in life and stuff like that. And that's where I feel I am now. I might have to change different things in a few years' time. I don't know. Don't know if I'll even be still in it in a few years' time. Probably will, but we'll see what happens.
I'd say you definitely will. Finish up. Limerick are gone off on a warm weather training camp. Have you any coming up? I think the ban is during April. Is that right? Rather than, or you have to ask permission now. You got in trouble. Laois got in trouble too. Dublin said they went watching sightseeing in France and didn't train. It's
listen, I understand where the GAA are actually come. I think the club is important. Now, I have to say, before I came to Wexford, I never give back my players for a month. Every year since I've been in Wexford, they've gone back to their clubs. 100% have gone back to their clubs, trained with them, and are with them for a month, right? It's not a bad thing. And I'll tell you, I feel like, so we've been training hard since December, right? So
it's a long year.
December, January, February, March, right? Like, you're looking at a few months there. Why not let them go back for the month, right? I don't think it's a bad thing. The problem I have with it is, right, so I let my players go back at the end of March and I give them 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks to play club championship and train with them. And we're now not allowed to go away for a week at the end of April, right? And I'm saying to myself, well, I'm after doing exactly what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think he can ask for permission for it now if you explain that. If you've gotten enough games played within it. Are Limerick getting a jump on everybody else getting away this early?
like, I probably, if I had a choice between now and April, the end of April, I would be the end of April.
Yeah. Closer to championship, yeah.
That's my view. Limerick could get a lot of it. Tipp got last year, they went to Wexford League, yeah. We, like, if we'd won the All-Ireland, everyone would have said, yeah, sure, the trip you had away last year, that was good. And it's funny, the training camp we had last year, we worked hard. I actually didn't, I might have gone away back in the past, and we might have trained like dogs for the 5 days. Last year kind of did it a small bit different. I remember there was at least 1.5 to 2 days where they were said, organise your stuff down, go away, go to water parks, do what you want to do. You're after a hard foot, just chill. So they might have had a day where they just completely had the crack.
You're mellowing in your old age, David. But you are definitely more focused on the enjoyment part of it, which is really important.
If you feel good, I'm going to get way more out of it.
And the lads want to play for you then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you've given them a break, or you've been...
but they will train hard as well, right? So they know, all right, I might have this day off, but I know that they're going to work really hard for me in the other days. I think that's important, that give a bit to get a bit.
Yeah.
Give a bit to get a bit.
That's a good message, I think, from a lot of managers could listen to that point. Just to finish up, outside of Wexford, what team are you worried about? Who's the big hitter?
I think there's a lot of teams that are thereabouts. Like Leinster will be tough. Kilkenny never be far away. I think Dublin are going to be right there. Galway are going to be right there. Leinster, in that side, it'll be tough. Laois with Eddie, like he's definitely the stuff that they have tried to do is great.
It might be a summer team, would they be?
I think the way they play is similar enough to the way we play, and I know the way they're doing stuff. Like I know they self-analyse a lot. Even when the players in the league, they self-analyse what they had to do afterwards, which is great. That you've to go back and analyse yourself, analyse the opposition. I like the way he's doing stuff. Munster is going to be a minefield as well. Like Clare, my team is great to see him doing well. So it is. You look at Tipp, they'll want to get a second if they can. I know Sheedy's a seriously driven man. Cork under Kieran will be back thereabouts. Waterford under Liam Cahill is tough. But if you ask me, Limerick I think are a fraction. To me, they would just be that fraction maybe above the rest. So they will be the team that you're trying to say, okay, we got to be thereabouts with them.
Okay. Davy, thanks very much.
No problem.
So it's a weird one here, Brian, talking about the matches. Last year we did permutations at this stage of the year. This year there isn't really any permutations. Again, this feeds into me, boring league, absolute nonsense. 1B is done and dusted pretty much. And 1A, there's 2 games that haven't been played, so there's no real excitement around the final round of the league at all.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, and look, we've harped on about this, but particularly the 1B, it is very frustrating. It's it's just very straight cut. I know where they actually finish up can be contested, but we definitely know the three that are going to be going through, you know. So it is annoying. And as you said, the real excitement out of the last day of the league is gone. I know that's not the GAA fault, but you know, the weather obviously fell foul of that, you know.
Yeah, and we know who's in the relegation match. There's not much we don't know, you know what I mean? It's like, and Jesus, you'd think the last round of the league would be more exciting than this, but probably the game of the last weekend is Tipperary Waterford in Semple Stadium. That's Liam Cahill heading back to his own county to take on Tipperary, and it was interesting. He said there was a quote after the Galway win. He said, "It will be a fine open game of hurling, I imagine. A great opportunity for us to test ourselves and to throw in a couple of guys to see how they react to the big open spaces of Semple Stadium." Now, I'm going to give Liam Cahill a pass on that. But I can advise him in the championship, if you want a nice open game of hurling against Tipperary and Thurles, you're going to be destroyed.
Yeah, I'd take that with a pinch of salt, because Liam Cahill's been around the block of it.
There's a smirk on his face while he's saying that, is there?
100% there is, yeah. Especially that message he's getting across to Waterford at the moment. You know, he is really trying to get them to hurl with real intensity and hammer and tongs, and, you know, without that safety net of the sweeper, and, you know, giving them no opportunity but to believe in hard work and everything that takes. Because, look, that's what top intercounty teams do, and Waterford had lost that edge, I think, over the last couple of years, and I think he's really trying to bring that in. You know, they've won a couple of tight games. I think that'll really stand to them so far. So I think he'll be bringing a hell of a battle to Thurles. I don't think he won't be looking for an open game, as you said. There's only going to be one winner if he does that.
Yeah, what did you make of Austin Gleeson and Pádraig O'Mahony playing in midfield? There's a part of me, like, obviously big losses to the forwards, but as we know, Brian, midfielders don't mark each other very tightly. So you're kind of like, you play your game, I play my game. Is it not better to have two free spirit scoring midfielders like Austin Gleeson and Pádraig O'Mahony?
Yeah, and two linkmen as well. And, like, look, I suppose taking both of them individually for a second, like, Ozzie Gleeson didn't have a good year last year. You know, he probably has felt the pressure of climbing to the top so soon. You know, he won under 21 and senior hurler of the year in the 1 year, and just obviously hasn't reached those heights consistently since, and that puts a massive amount of pressure on him internally more than anything else. Because we all know, I know pressure comes from the outside, but, you know, when you start to doubt yourself internally, that's when you're in real trouble. I think he needs a bit of a new lease of life, you know, not maybe playing up in that forward line, back facing the ball, be it that on the half back line or in midfield. And I think it could do him a lot of good to be actually there, and he's a great striker of the ball from distance, and, you know, he did a lot of his underage hurling at centre back then as well, so you know, he's capable of hurling anywhere, obviously, and you'd love to see him now with a bit of a pep in his step, and hurling the way he's able to hurl, because, you know, he is fantastic. I think with Pádraig O'Mahony something similar. His return from play has probably dropped a little bit over the last couple of years, and I know that might come down to the style of hurling that they were playing and all that, but he's someone else that's hugely important to Waterford. He is actually made captain. And I think, again, even if they don't do it in Championship, you know, it might be an option. They mightn't start him in Championship. I mean, it might be an option that he could go out to midfield during games, and, you know, people need to be able to rotate. And, you know, after coming back in after a long year with Ballygunner, you know, and losing the Munster final, a new challenge like that and playing in midfield, it just might give him a new lease of life and give him something, you know, perk him up a little bit. And I think, you know, a change is as good as the rest at times.
That's the thing. And, like, I mean, to be fair, I've talked about not reading too much into the league with Waterford, obviously, because they had a good league last year and they had very impressive results in the league. But Liam Cahill's not going, this is my starting 15, this is my league, I'm treating every game like a championship. He is experimenting, and he is, you know, playing. Like, Jamie Barron was at number 11 the last day. I'm not sure that worked. He's too much of a free spirit probably to be, although 11 you'll probably get that bit of freedom too off the centre back.
Yeah, but he'd bring a huge work rate and fierce honesty, and he put a centre back or a half back line under serious pressure when he brings that work rate, because he's tough as nails, and he is not afraid to get mixed into things. And, you know, maybe Waterford identified that, you know, they wanted maybe a more hard work and half forward line, and then the likes of Pádraig O'Mahony and Austin Gleeson breaking onto the ball from midfield and you know, coming off the shoulder and them being the shooters, you know. So maybe that's something that they've identified, and that's something that could work for them. You know, Barron, you know, automatically in a head when I think of Jamie Barron, I think of you know, that midfielder, that box to box midfielder. But, we see it now. It's creeping in other teams too. And I've said this already. Davy Fitzgerald gone up to centre forward with Clare. Chris Crummy has flirted with it centre forward with Dublin. So maybe they're looking for that style of hurler up there that can turn teams back towards their own goal. And as I said, just bring that real massive work rate up there.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not there naturally as well.
Yeah, Liam Cahill said about playing in Semple Stadium, I thought this was interesting. He says we'll go left in the tunnel instead of right. And then I was thinking, do Tipperary get the home dressing rooms even for championship matches in say a Munster final in Thurles?
Yeah.
They take the home dressing room.
Yeah, they would have the first pick. Yeah,
but it's not a home venue for them. It's the provincial ground.
Well, in Munster Championship, obviously it would be a home fixture, but you're talking about a Munster final. Yeah, for Munster final, it's still, look, obviously that's a very small human thing. They always get the same dressing room. I guarantee you Dublin get the same dressing room in Croke Park.
Oh, they do, and I give out about that the whole time. They shouldn't have that routine perfect for themselves. They should land in on a Munster final. They say you're in dressing room B there. Well, it's not their ground on that day.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There'd be a psychology to that. Like, I'm sure if
100% there is. Yeah, and let's be honest, we all like it. We're creatures of habit. Like, we sit. I know most dressing rooms I've been in, we sit in similar enough seats or same seats every single time. And when you go into different grounds, you go to the same corner or the same part of the bench and you do obviously the same in Croke Park. And being honest, every time I played in Croke Park, maybe it's whoever's doing it out, they always put Offaly and we were always in the same dressing room, you know. So maybe it's something that, traditionally you were on the left or the right or whatever way it was, and it just, the way it works out, the person that's actually in charge of that, and maybe, they kind of recognise on that micro level that actually really helps teams to settle in.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Well, then again, you could have been under the Hogan and think you were in the same dressing room as under the Cusack, because it's very confusing as you drive in. It's the same tunnel and you're not sure which side. You're not sure which side of the actual pitch you're on.
I remember actually playing a minor match and we were underneath the Cusack or the Davin at the time, and you actually have to run. It's a disaster to try and get back out in the field. You have to run the full length of the Davin end or the canal.
Were you old enough to have come out under the canal end back then?
Yeah. I played minor Leinster final there. And like, I remember like the length of the distance to the dressing room was unbelievable. And a lad came in and knocked on the door one day, and we had a great minor manager time, Paddy Curwin. He used to play with Offaly back in the 80s, and anyone that knows him, he's a real kind of gruff sort of figure. And they were knocking on the door, come on, you have to come out. Paddy let roar, and if he didn't put us out in league slip, we'd be in time. So
and that
was saying it politely.
Those dressing rooms were absolutely tiny down there in Croke Park before they did them up. I'm surprised you were old enough. What year were you minor?
That was Leinster minor final 2000. Yeah, we beat Dublin.
I'd say that could have been that must have been the last year.
Yeah, do you know what? They're still there, because actually I played Super 11s on the day at the American football game in Croke Park. I played that being around 2015 or 16, so they're definitely still there at the moment anyway.
All right, well maybe we're talking about different things now, because I'm talking about the dressing rooms that were there in the old Hogan stand.
Sorry, apologies.
Right, they were down at the.
Sorry, we're talking about different things.
Okay, because I thought they were more the 1990s. Yeah, I played in Croke Park when the old Hogan stand was there. That's old, isn't it? You're really looking at yourself being an old ex-player when you're able to do that. Quickly, Dan Shanahan had some comments about Morris and about Noel Connors. And he says he found it tough. He's talking about Morris Shanahan now. He's found it tough at the start when he's omitted, because he was so close to a lot of the players. They played together for 10 years, and the two lads have the two lads omitted and 40 lads get trials doesn't add up. They went back to their clubs and to their gyms and are training hard. You never know. If Liam Cahill is true to his word, and if they play well in Club Championship in April, they might get back in. So Liam Cahill being true to his word is him kind of saying the door's not closed to anybody and all that kind of thing. Now, is that the right... Clearly, Liam Cahill doesn't have any interest in the two lads, because else they would have got trials. If 40 lads are getting trials, it's not a good message to send to two fellas who could be still dreaming about getting back in. They're not getting back in here, Brian. Like, let's be realistic about this. They're not getting back in no matter how well they play for their clubs. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
But it's unfair on them.
It's a strange one. Yeah, it's a strange one.
I know Liam. No, but I know Liam Call's only letting him down gently, you know, or you know, not trying to be controversial. He's saying, "Look, well, you know, the door's open." But then the players will cling on to anything to get back in, you know. So like,
yeah, my thing on this. Look, and I'm in no position to tell Liam Cal what to do, and I'm sure he's not worried what I think. But I just found it strange that from the offset, from the bat, he dropped the two boys, you know, without ever having seen them, even bring them in for a month and say, look, sorry lads, you know, at least you can say you've seen them. Whereas, you know, Liam's not from the county, complete outsider. It's hard to try and understand, well, what were your reasonings, you know, without thinking, well, it's personal, you know, so or a personal, you know, look at someone completely from the outside.
It couldn't be personal. It couldn't be personal. He wouldn't know them really.
No, not on a personal level. But you know, maybe the way that he sees them hurling and seen them hurling championship last year, or maybe he's heard things, you know, behind the scenes of these types of individuals. You know, so you know, I'm not saying there is stuff to be hearing. I'm just saying, you know, maybe this is what someone else has fed into this and said, look, you'd be better off without these guys, and he's taken them, you know, taking that bit of advice or something. It just seemed a really strange one without actually having put them through his hands, as I said, even for a couple of weeks or a month, to actually make that decision and effectively end two guys' inter-county careers, you know.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I didn't want to get back into that because we've discussed this probably before, but when Dan Shanahan is saying if Liam is true to his word and if they play well in the club championship they might get back in, I just felt a little bit sorry for them at that stage, thinking, lads, you ain't getting back, like, you're not getting back in. And maybe
I just find that strange from Dan. I know he's trying to strong arm Liam Cal.
He is. He's trying
into doing it, but I think, look, if Liam is strong enough to drop them without ever having seen them, I think he'd be very, very comfortable in his own skin saying, hey, buddy, that's not going to work with me.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree with that, definitely. Come here, this is a masterstroke from Liam Sheedy. Nobody's talking about Tipperary at all. Like, the last time they won the All-Ireland, they were the New Kilkenny and they were bloody this, that and the other. How is he like, I suppose a few losses will dampen down expectations. I don't think expectations are dampened down. It's just there's no talk around them.
Zero talk, and the league is working out perfectly for them. But look, again, we've hit on this. They always knew they'd beat Westmeath, so no matter what else happened in that league, they could try out players. They have a fair idea who they have. They're bringing back Noel McGrath slowly, Brendan Maher slowly, you know, integrating Shamie Canlin here and there into games. Same with Bubbles Dwyer, so he knows exactly what he's at, and it's allowing those players that are coming up from that under 21 and under 20 teams game time as well. So it's, you know, it's satisfying their hunger to try and get game time as well. For the top teams, this league is a dream. You know,
yeah, it's a dream.
As you said, for hurling fans and hurling people and the developing counties, as Cheddar calls them, it's an absolute disaster.
Yeah, you're completely right. It's not good. It's not good for fans to be watching games that, you know, teams aren't too bothered about. There has to be something on the line in top level sport for you to, you know, in properly enjoy it. You mentioned Noel McGrath. He got on the last day, and Westmeath had a player sent off, Doyle, and McGrath Killian Doyle, and McGrath came on then just as the spare man and floated around, got a few lovely little balls, and what a lovely little way to break Noel back into the game. I'd say he'd send Killian Doyle a birthday card after that, or Christmas card.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, sure, Noel. Imagine that. Like, it's hard enough, Mark. Imagine like trying to counteract someone like Noel McGrath without him coming on as a spare man. You know, you'd be giving up the ghost at that stage anyway. That's for sure.
But what about Noel McGrath as, like, if they're playing Wexford and we know Kevin Foley's going to be the sweeper? What if Tipperary jiggled it around that Noel McGrath was their spare man? How would that kind of, you know, what would Davy be thinking when he'd see that?
Yeah, it'd be a curveball, and I think Liam Sheedy probably would have learnt a lot from that last year. And in fairness to him, he learnt it as the game progressed. You know, he probably started with Bubbles and Jason Ford as his two half forwards, but he realised pretty soon, you know, how attacking the half backs were for Wexford and the trouble that caused in the first half in particular, and the start of that second half. You know, that he needed more workhorses on that half forward line, and so, you know, it's trying to counteract that, and Foley doesn't. I think this is the key to this Wexford approach. Is Foley doesn't just sit as a 7th defender. He gets up the field if he can, and those cornerbacks and wing backs get up as well. Very, very hard to stop. It's a total different way of thinking for, I'll say it again, for hurling people. This is natural to football.
Yeah,
and it's not because it's the way football has progressed over a number of years. This is really new to hurling, and it's new to the psyche of players, and it's horrible, and it's very, very hard hard to actually counteract it. Because it takes time to evolve to these sort of things.
Davey was telling me, I don't think it was in the interview, he was telling me before the interview or just quickly after it, that teams are starting to check these lads' running, the way they run without the ball. And that happens in Gaelic football, and it's something to watch out for with Wexford this year. Definitely if you're at matches, is teams, their half-back line attacking without the ball, maybe on the opening side, and the man that's on them actually stopping that run illegally. And it's something that linesmen, I suppose, need to watch out for. Because this, again, and I asked Davy in the interview about, getting some of the tactics from football, and he didn't really say that was where he got them. But at the same time, there is a lot of similarities, and definitely you need strong linesmen if you see fellas' runs being checked off the ball, because that's in Gaelic football, and it's not a pretty sight.
Yeah, and I actually did notice that last year when Wexford were playing. You watch it live, and it's only when you see it live that you see those sort of things. And it crept into the game, particularly the first round against Dublin, because Dublin will be very used to the running style game, and a lot of players play both codes up there as well.
Yeah,
and so they would have been well tuned into trying to stop that aspect of the game. There was a lot of pulling and dragging going on off the ball, and it took a strong referee that day in Fergal Hurling and be able to actually sort it out. The one thing of Wexford players is they're not afraid to go down, and I know people won't like to hear this, but they're not afraid to go down if they get a belt either. So they will go down if they see an opportunity to if a lad hits them a clip, they'll be down like a shot.
Yeah, no, but I think that's the only way to do it, because otherwise what are you doing? The fella pulling you back is getting away with it. The only thing you can do is go to the ground and try and shout or something, or else just give him a box in the back of the head, and you're gone, and he's gone down, and that's what he wants as well. So it's a very frustrating thing. There's no doubt about that.
Totally, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to say that Wexford are pure demons there and going down, but I'm saying they're not afraid to go down in those situations, because as you said, maybe sometimes the way the game has gone, it's the only way you can actually protect yourself. Or because as you said, if you hit the clip back, you get your checked, and next minute you hit him a clip, and that's all that's seen.
And he's the one setting you up. Yeah, he's setting you up. It's terrible stuff. So the other big game in Division 1A is Cork and Galway. We spoke a lot about both of these teams, Brian. There's not much. These are two teams a little bit like Tipperary. The worst culprits of not going hell for leather at this league are Galway, Cork and Tip. That's my opinion. The best teams that taking the league seriously are Limerick, Wexford and Kilkenny, and Clare probably as well. So
Clare as well,
but if 4 teams is not enough to be really taking it seriously, really, when you think about it. There's few enough hurling teams to begin with. Never mind have 3 or 4 of them say, the league will be all right. We're looking at the bigger picture here.
I think Limerick are looking at the bigger picture too, and only for the fact that they have so many bloody hurlers, in so many key positions. Like, they're doing serious rotating of their players at the moment. Now, the one thing is they are still trying to win every single game, and making sure winning is still crucial to them, and putting their stamp on the game at the moment. But
their intensity levels are high during the league, though, Brian. They're not holding back in the league.
No, definitely not. And any player that they have out in the field, I think that's the way it is. They know that they're going to get so few opportunities to try and press, Kylie and Kinnerk and Alan Cunningham and whoever, that if they get an opportunity, they have to take it. And that, look, they're probably in the healthiest position at the moment. But I think Galway is a serious conundrum at the moment, because it's a tough one. Shane O'Neill, new in as manager, probably needs a couple of wins under his belt to keep the Galway crowd behind him. But he's clearly, working with his squad and trying to bring players back in. We haven't seen Daithí Burke. We haven't seen Davy Burke. We haven't seen Johnny Cohn yet. He's clearly trying Shane Cooney at centre back. Fintan Burke went to wing back the last day.
Yeah.
And that will create a lot of options. They still have serious hurlers. When you start to name out those, if you bring in those 2 now in particular on top of what they have.
Yeah.
You bring in Aidan Hart, and you have Pádraig Mannion, Joe Canning, Colin Mannion, Conor Whelan. There's still a serious nucleus there. I know they've lost a couple of players, but they've a serious team, and they're nowhere near hurling with their first 15 at the moment.
They're not. They're getting a good few of them back, but this Shane O'Neill, they're losing a few games, and you would think, right, with Galway we're looking at the big picture. But I tell you one thing, if that's the case, it takes fair confidence for a manager who hasn't managed at intercounty before to go into a county like Galway and not immediately try and get, to try and get wins, because just for your own self-confidence, you would imagine.
I wonder, is it been building towards the end of this league, and will we see a different team out for Galway now this weekend? Look, obviously time will tell that, but you know, these last 2 games now, the way it's worked out are their 2 home games. You know, they've Cork and Tipperary, you know what I mean, in Salt Hill, and are they going to go and, you know, be a little bit stronger for each of those 2 games, and, you know, building it up towards that championship? That's what I envisage that they'll do, but obviously only Shane O'Neill knows that.
Yeah, only Shane O'Neill's that. Right, listen, that's it, Brian. Thanks very much. We got through it on our own today, which is great, and well, with a bit of help from Davy Fitzgerald. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll talk to you all then. Good luck.